Yeah, this is an interesting question. So the cost of policing has gone from $4 million at the beginning of this term of council, from $3 million to $4 million now. So that's a 30% increase. The police service is doing a great job, no question about it. The police board, on the other hand, which is was chaired by Mayor Christine Robinson and by member Doug Townsend, has vehemently resisted having any discussion with council about trying to control those costs. Boxing council into a corner, I'm afraid. We are looking at a $10 to $13 million building that we're going to build very soon, and it's going to have a 30-year mortgage on it. So the question that I wanted to ask is, are we going to have West Grey Police for the next 30 years? I know we're probably going to have West Grey Police for the next 4 years, or the next 8 years. That's clear. The community loves the West Grey Police. I've talked to people in the community. There's nobody who has anything bad to say about them. But are they going to be here for 30 years? I'm not entirely certain. We have to ask the questions, do the survey, and then make the decision after we've talked to the citizens. Thank you. One thing that we could do, and there is some movement towards this, is to try to encourage more on-farm industries, so that we may not be seeing commercial growth necessarily in our downtown cores. We may see the commercial growth throughout the municipality. The main thing, though, that has been stated down at the other end there somewhere, is that governments are not as good at doing these things as the private sector is. And so the main thing we need to do is get out of the way. We have to reduce obstacles to people who want to start businesses, who want to do private initiatives within our community. Another thing that we could do is that the leaders in our community, the mayor, the CAO, even councillors, could be operating as salespersons, could be going out and trying to sell our community. We had 2 wooden bridges built here by a company based in New Brunswick. And that company said that they were interested in building an Ontario plant, because there was a lot of interest for wooden bridges in Ontario. I don't know why we're not, calling them up and saying, next time you're here, why don't we go out for lunch and talk about building that plant in West Grey? Yes, I serve on West Grey's Climate Change Advisory Committee, along with Councillor Hamilton, who's not running for council. That's why she's not here currently. Fighting and adapting for climate change is going to take effort from all levels of government. Some candidates here are going to tell you that it's too big for West Grey to do and that it should be handled by the federal and provincial governments. The federal and provincial governments will only act if they see pressure from the citizenry. And demonstrating activity at the municipal level is the sort of pressure that causes them to take action. Our committee, the Climate Change Committee, has recently reviewed the official plan, which is up for its 5-year review cycle. And the Climate Change Committee provided a significant number of recommendations so that plan will be devised in such a way that it will encourage reduced carbon footprint in all development in West Grey over the next span that plan is going to cover. So citizen input through the council is having concrete impact on the future of climate in our community. So as a current councillor, I work hard, I'm respectful of my colleagues, and I take responsibility. In council meetings and on the street, I listen to people who might have better ideas than me and remain open to persuasion. It's for that reason that I think we should take no decision on the police issue until we've done a public consultation and a public survey, and then act depending on the ways that the population has instructed us. A pet project that I would like to see happen is that at Rockwood Terrace in Durham, where the county bought 30 acres for the Rockwood redevelopment, they're only using 5 for the current project. So they've got 20 or 25 extra acres there. They're primarily responsible for affordable housing within the county, but I think we should be pressuring them and working with them in partnership to see more affordable housing developed around that property. I think it's ripe for that sort of development, and an opportunity that doesn't come along every day. Going back to business as usual on many of these issues is not an option. These are complex conversations that we need to have about a range of topics. They're complex and they're not black and white. I believe that being honest, open-minded, open-hearted, and collaborative is our best strategy for finding a path forward together. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone. So my name is Jeffrey Shea. I've been a resident of West Grey for over 35 years. I'm asking you to re-elect me to a third term on council. One of the things that I've learned on council is that we solve and address problems on many different scales. For example, on a very small local scale, we've got a serious flooding problem on Sadler Street. Several times over the last couple of summers, residents there have called me at night when the flooding was coming up over their lawns and into their homes. And I would head over there, because I live in the neighborhood, I would head over there and call Steve Earhart, and he would be there clearing drains out. Since then, I've communicated with the CAO, the head of Public Works, and council has put funding towards long-term solution to that problem, and is negotiating with the Saugeen Valley so that we can do short-term solutions of just clearing the brush out and getting the water flowing faster so that the flooding won't continue in that area. That's an example of a small local sort of problem that councillors and council can help with. We have many larger problems too, like a couple of people have alluded to the bridges. We had 4 emergency bridge closures in the last couple of years. That's not acceptable. This current council, has committed annual funding to this important infrastructure while also balancing the budget and maintaining healthy financial reserves. Police is another important issue. I had a break-in a couple of weeks ago, and the officers that came were great. They were professional, they got the job done, they got most of my stuff back. I was super impressed. But they're our fastest and largest growing cost center, and we have to explore options for how to get those costs under control. And then we have even bigger problems. We've got climate change, attainable housing, a doctor shortage, drug use, and mental health problems in our community. These are our problems. We won't solve them on our own, but we have to participate in the solutions. We have to work together with other levels of government and with you, the citizens, to try and rectify these. Thank you. Just so that you know, Anne-Marie Watson at the West Grey Durham Medical Foundation and Clinic has been spearheading doctor recruitment initiatives in this area for some time and has encountered a couple of very specific personnel-based obstacles which are now out of the way. And so I'm very much more hopeful that she will have more success in the efforts that she makes. She goes and does presentations at trade fairs for young doctors and emerging doctors, and I've tried to help support her on those sorts of initiatives. The municipalities are increasingly throughout neighboring communities getting more involved in the doctor recruitment activities. So maybe it's a role that we could be taking in and doing at the municipal level rather than having it be arm's length at the foundation. And finally, there are regional recruitment initiatives going on in neighboring communities as well. And our CAOs, in discussions with other neighboring CAOs, to see if we could create centralized doctor recruitment initiatives. So there are activities underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Many of you know me and know my son Yoshi, who's wheelchair bound and relies on this sort of transportation all the time. We're very fortunate to have SMART, Saugeen Mobility, something transportation, that does serve our neighboring municipalities. We opt into that as the municipality of West Grey. That's not a great county service. And they do an excellent job of providing location-to-location transportation within the county. We also recently developed, or the county developed the 2 bus services, the one that runs to Guelph and the other one that runs across together with Owen Sound, that runs across the county. When those were initiated, they weren't designed to be fully wheelchair accessible. And I thought this was astonishing that in this day and age, we would be implementing a new bus service without considering the accessibility community. And I think the reason that happened is because we don't have sufficient awareness and education. So that's another aspect to solving this problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey, for pretty much answering the question. There's so much more to say.
Thank you. We have a very expensive asset in West Grey that hasn't been used for 2 years. I'd like to know why. We have a sign, electronic sign sitting out there. And if you guys don't want to use it, I'd love to buy it and use it for my business. Just wondering why. When Eunice was there, she had stuff on that sign, and not everybody in this room has computers or Zoom meetings or But drive by it, we have it, and if it's broke, why are we not fixing it?
This is probably close to the last rounds of questioning.
This is the last question.
This is the last question. So I was kind of hoping I would be asked about libraries, community safety and well-being, equity and justice, reconciliation, climate change. I wanted to talk about the 4 new electric car charging stations that we're going to be building within West Grey. But instead I'm going to answer Don's question about the sign. That was there, put in under the last term of council, I understand. I talked to the staff and they said that there was technical problems and then the supplier went out of business and they couldn't get it. So my answer would be, yes, I would be supporting selling it to you. As a current councillor, I work hard, I'm respectful of my colleagues, and I take responsibility. In council meetings and on the street, I listen to people who might have better ideas than me, and I remain open to persuasion. I believe that being honest, open-minded, open-hearted, and collaborative is our best strategy for finding a path forward. Apart from that, I'd just like to mention that Grey County bought 30 acres for the new Rockwood development, and they're going to use about 5 of that. So there's about 20 or 25 acres left over, and I think we should be working with the county to turn that into affordable and attainable housing and addressing a lot of the housing problems and homelessness problems that we're having in our community, especially housing for young families and seniors. So I just wanted to drop that tidbit as a sort of a pet project that I've got in the back of my mind and I would like to bring forward if re-elected. Thank you.
Speaking now.